She wakes up, and she doesn't know where she is. It's completely dark. And she begins to think, where am I? What happened? And she feels the intermittent squeezing of her body. She starts to try and remember. What's the last thing I remember? I remember being on the ship. The large ship. I remember the moaning of the steel being pulled off the hull. So loud, earth-shatteringly loud, breaking the silence. We hit an iceberg. It jerked the ship. I was with my husband and 2 daughters. The noise of the steel being ripped off. The silence of the ocean being broken by the scream that steel makes. The jerking. People falling off their chairs. People falling off the deck. The screaming. They were dropping lifeboats. Women and children only. I remember putting my daughters on the boat. My husband fighting a man. The man wanted to get on the boat with the women and the children. And they were fighting, and before I could get on with my daughters, they dropped the lifeboat into the ocean. I could hear them screaming for me, but there was nothing I could do. The boat broke in half. We were sliding down the deck towards the rail. My husband reaching for me, and she feels the squeezing. And she thinks, it's pitch dark. I feel like I'm in water, but it's not cold water. It feels warm. Squeezing. It's becoming painful. She remembers her husband reaching out for her, and she reached out for him, and he slid by her and went off the rail. He went off the rail. The screams were so loud now as she slid, hung onto the rail. She couldn't see where the water ended and the sky began. The stars were reflecting on the deep, dark water. There was no difference. She didn't know how far the fall would be, but she knew that she didn't hear her husband anymore. She couldn't let go. People were falling on her. One hand lost its grip. And then she couldn't hold on anymore. She remembered that much. She fell. She fell and she fell. And when she hit the water, it didn't feel like water. It felt like hitting a brick wall. She was sure that her legs broke. And then there was nothing, and is that where she is? The black water. She feels the squeezing. It's becoming harder. Suddenly, she sees a light. And she begins moving towards the light. And as she does, she starts to forget. She starts to forget the pain of hearing her daughter screaming. She begins to forget the screaming of the steel as it's bending violently off of the ship's hull. She even begins to forget the iceberg. She's closer to the light now. She begins to forget her husband. She begins to forget falling into the water. She's closer to the light now. And as the very last spark of her memory fades, she comes into the light. She's placed onto the chest of the woman who looks down into her eyes and says, "Welcome to the world, baby boy. I'm your mama."